You're now South Beltway. I'm John Fredericks, and I am your blowtorch of free speech in America. Great to have you with us. Todd Sheets coming up. Just heard from Purple Wave. I love Purple Wave Auction. These guys are great people. I tell you what, I love disruptors. They are the disruptor of all time because they've changed how you buy and how you sell construction and farm equipment and fleet vehicles. All you got to do is go to purplewave.com. They have no reserve auctions. So if you have farm equipment you're looking to buy, you want a tractor, you want a hay or something of that nature, or you have something you want to sell it, right? Or you have a construction equipment, you need a dump truck, you need a cement mixer, you need a front end loader, something of that nature. You just need a truck or you need a fleet of vehicles. All of that is available on Purple Wave. And the thing is, they get everything done for you. It's all online. They come out. If you're selling something, they'll come out, they'll take the pictures, they'll do the investigation, they'll get all the history, what shape is in. They'll all have it verified, and then you bid on it if you want to buy it at certain times, and it's a no reserve bid, which means that if you bid $100 and somebody else bids 99 and it's worth 100,000, you're getting it. So that keeps the whole bidding process honest. It's really a great system. The feedback I've gotten back all over the country on Purple Wave, the people involved in it, it's been fantastic. So check it out. Go to purplewave.com, purplewave.com. It's really going to make a difference if you happen to be in that line of work or you need to buy or sell fleet vehicles, farm or construction equipment of any kind. It could be anything. They have it, and they'll do everything for you. And if you're selling it, they actually go out and market it to people that they know are potential buyers. So that's the other thing they do, and that doesn't cost you anything. So just good people. Let's go to go to purplewave.com. Let's go to our good friend Todd Sheets. Todd is with us, and of course, Todd, the author of the 2008 crisis, What Really Happened. Todd, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be back with you, John.
Thanks, Todd, and happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you again, because I am off next Wednesday, but I think I'll see you on Tuesday, so that'll be good. Todd, the big issue now going into the midterms is affordability. And the communist Madami in New York City had a very powerful message on that. He got a lot of young people voting for him. It doesn't matter, they don't understand how he's going to get there. Basically, it's, communism. That doesn't make any sense. But the message resonated, and people are hurting, and they're concerned about the economy. When are we going to see a real inflation drive down, prices getting better, and the consumer mood increasing from negative to positive?
Yeah, well, I think this is obviously this is the hot button issue. I think one of the most fascinating things about this is that, the Biden inflation. So let's go back to that, because that's where all of this starts. Biden comes in, the COVID economy has already fully recovered, and yet he agrees with kind of the socialist wing of the party to go through this spending blowout, which were the biggest peacetime deficits in history, surpassing even those of the Obama years, which he was a part of also, which prior to that were the biggest ones. So that's what led to all this money coming into the system, the Fed printing all this money to monetize it. We get the highest rates of consumer price inflation that we've had since the 1970s. And we get an excess of a 50% run up in housing prices as all these dollar bills get dumped into the system. So that's the real source of it. And that is a big part of what helped elect Trump president again last year. Now we go a year later, and the same socialists that were driving that policy disaster with Biden are the ones backing Mamdani. And they've repackaged this as an affordability issue that they're trying to hang around the necks of this administration, who has been in office for, at this point, 10 months or so. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important to remember where this came from. It's also very important to understand, and this is the tough part of it, there are no easy solutions when you get to this point, because let's just take housing, for example. And I'm going to keep numbers that don't make sense in the real world, but they're easy to keep track of. If the average home or a home is $100,000 and all of a sudden you get all this money dumped in the system and it goes up to 150,000, like roughly what happened. And incomes don't grow commensurate with that. Now, all of a sudden, you've made that home unaffordable to people. Now, if at that point, the home starts only growing 2 or 3% a year, and this is a place where Biden made a big mistake, and I think the current administration in their messaging is making a bit of a mistake also on this, is that, you think you've got prices under control now, but for the person whose income hasn't grown, they're still dealing with an affordability crisis. And so in a normal, healthy economy where the Fed has not created these distortions, 2 to 3% unemployment generally inflation won't be that big of a deal. But if it's happening on top of this massive inflationary and affordability problem that has already been created and is still in the system because those prices don't roll back, then these 2 to 3% increases are a big deal and they need to be dealt with. And I think that's something that this administration needs to get their mind wrapped around a little bit as they message and talk about these issues. And so how do we deal with this? The big thing, two things. First of all, we have to get growth going. So, that's right on point for the administration. The AI Act, the deregulation effort, the preservation of the tax cuts. These are all right down the line of getting economic growth because we've got to get incomes growing back up so that they're in line with that escalated or inflated housing price that we're talking about. And that's the key. Real growth has to start happening instead of this, fake growth, this inflationary growth that the Fed has been creating for too long. So I think that's one part. Then the other key part, and I think this is another area the administration is going to have to focus in on and maybe change their thinking about, where does this come from? And, Milton Friedman taught us, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary problem. So various things that are happening in the economy with labor, tariffs, whatever, they can have a short-term impact for a while. But if we have these big moves and they persist over time, it's because the Fed is dumping too many dollars into the economy, and it's at a faster rate than real growth is happening. And you've got to constrain that. And that means you're probably not going to be able to push down the short-term interest rates as much as many people would like to have happen. You've got to keep discipline there so that we bring these inflation rates back down and we don't keep adding to this problem that's been created.
So basically, let me break down what you said. Todd Sheets with us, very astute. So inflation under Biden was around 8 to 10%. That stopped. It went down to 2% under Trump, which in a normal circumstance, that's fine. That's about what it normally is. It's normal fluctuations about 2%. But when you got 2% over the 10%, people are still hurting from the 10%, and now there's another 2%. So that's really what the rub is. And the Trump administration is really boxed in here because you just go back and blame Biden is not helpful to somebody going to the store, right? Like they're not thinking about that. Well, the real reason I'm paying these high prices is because of Biden. No, they're saying Trump said he was going to bring it down. He didn't. Therefore, I now am looking for something else. That's the problem we have right now in the messaging and the reality of going into the midterms. How do you deal with that politically?
Yeah, I think
sum up what you just said?
Yeah, you hit it perfectly. The only thing I would add is that the housing thing, which is a huge part of all of this frustration and loss of the American dream, and that was far worse than the 10%. There we're talking about a 55%. Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's even worse than the consumer price part, but you put the two of those things together and you're stretched on housing payments, and now you're stretched on grocery bills and energy costs and all of these kinds of things, your heating bills and all of that, and it makes a problem. I think the messaging is, and it's important to remember, Mamdani was running in a one-party town against a disgraced member of the old Democratic Guard. So Cuomo probably didn't even understand these things. And if he did, he can hardly sit there and fight back against Mamdani's messaging by saying, well, this is the Biden inflation, because the voters see him a part of the old, Biden Democrats that he would be attacking. So he's not even in a position to do the messaging. I think this administration does need to hit back on that. And they need to say, look, as you just said, this is a problem we inherited from Biden. We are doing everything possible, first, to rejuvenate real economic growth, not fake economic growth, so we can push incomes up and get them back in line with the elevated prices that we inherited. And at the same time, we are going to be careful with the Federal Reserve and with their interest rate policies, because ultimately that is where the source of this inflation in grocery bills and housing prices is coming from. And we're going to have to be much more careful there. And these are the two focal points as we go into next year.
All right, Todd, stay with us. We got Elaine coming up. I want to continue this discussion because we've got to find the solution to this messaging wise. Right now, I don't think we have it, and we need to get there. Thank you, Todd. Todd Sheets going to come back with us. Elaine Parker up next. We're going to be talking economy. We're going to be taking your calls. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. Stay with us.